Kyle here at Creative Media. Today's a difficult video. Not because it's emotionally heavy or because it's hard to do, but innately, people don't like admitting their failures. They don't like showing weakness. They don't like admitting that they did wrong. But I'll tell you, I messed this one up. I flubbed it. I goofed it up. Whatever phrase and terminology you want to use, I lost a client.
Say it ain't so, Joe.
Sometimes there's nothing you can do. They don't like you. They don't like your work. They don't like your design, or something outside of your control. So I'm going to tell you a little bit of a story, but this is a lesson learned, and I hope you learned something from this. So this is for small business owners. This lesson learned can be applied to any business really that you have. So we were contacted by an organization. I'm not going to use their name. But this organization was looking to do some graphic design work, and they had a very specific project in mind that they wanted to do. I submitted my pitch via email, never talked to these people online, in person or on the phone, and came back a few weeks later that, hey, they selected my agency, they selected my design as the one they wanted to go with. Perfect, great, let's meet up, let's talk, let's go through the details, and let's get this project started. The lady that had emailed me came to the offices, sat down with me, and we discussed what the project really meant. Went through the details, went through what the design looked like. She loved it. She thought it was great. I said, okay, perfect. And we discussed how to get started. And she said, now I just need to submit this to my supervisor, my boss.
Oh, wait, what?
So she said, I'm going to submit it to her and let her see it, and then we'll move forward. Okay. I wasn't going to question the hierarchy of their organization. But about 3 or 4 days later, I hear back from her, and she said, we need to meet again because my supervisor didn't particularly like the design. She wanted this and that and wanted some changes. And I said, okay, fair enough. I said, so let me know exactly what she wants, and I can modify the design according to her desires. And so I did that. So round 2 of the designs went out. I spent my time developing them and laying it out and modifying the pitch and the project details. She emailed me and I said, all right, so this time when we meet, be sure to bring your leadership team so that we can discuss the details all together. And she said, absolutely, absolutely. She came to the office, had another lady with her, and we sat down and started to go through the details. And the other lady kept saying, well, I think we need to do this. She wanted specific items, such as diversity, specific items such as color, specific items such as layout. And it was kind of weird because everything that she was asking for is exactly what was in round 1 of the project pitch deck. And I said, well, you're talking about diversity like this, where I had, individuals of various race, age, sex, demographic, all kinds of things. And she said, yeah, just like that. And then she wanted a specific color and a specific layout. And I brought up on my computer, I said, like this one? She's like, oh yeah, I like that. And so that was in round 1 of the designs. And I said, did you, and I spoke to the first lady, and I said, did you share with your boss the original designs that we had? And she said, oh, well, this isn't my boss. She's part of the project now. I said, oh, you were supposed to bring your supervisor so that we could talk directly and I could really, narrow this down and figure out what you want to do. And so is this lady making the decisions? She said, no, she just had some good ideas about it. I said, well, all her ideas are things that were already on there in the first round that we modified because your supervisor didn't like them. So at that point, there was some back and forth, but I kind of realized I goofed. I did not double check and make sure that the supervisor is the one that came. I just assumed that the lady that came with the original contact is the one that was making the decisions. But in that meeting, which I kind of closed down pretty quick, nobody was there that could make a decision on the project. So all of my talking, all of my pitching the idea and the project and the designs was falling on deaf ears because it was having to go through them. Now it was having to go back to the supervisor, and they would describe and they would explain what we were going to do. We left that meeting, and she said, well, can you do this and this? And I said, honestly, I've spent a lot of time already going through multiple rounds of designs for this campaign. And I'm not going to go through more designs until I'm able to speak to a supervisor so that we can really figure out what it is that she wants, because I don't know what she wants, because I wasn't getting combative. I felt like it on the inside, but I really wasn't on the outside. I was very kind and I was very professional, but it irritated me, and it didn't irritate me because of her. It irritated me because of me, because I made the mistakes. I was not talking with the person that can make the decision, and that is my lesson learned, and that's what I'm hoping to get across to you in this video today is no matter what business you're in, make sure you're talking to the person that can make the decision and pull the trigger on it. And so lesson learned, I was not talking to the right person, and I should have clarified that from the beginning. So here at Creative Media's YouTube channel, I hope you like this video. If you do, like it, share it, great. But this is the kind of content that you're going to find on our YouTube channel. It's not just video production. It's not just filmmaking behind the scenes. It's not just, business development. You're going to see that I screwed up, laugh at me, put in the comments what you would have done in that situation, because I wanted to throw a chair. Because I had already wasted so much time, doing 2 rounds of designs, plus, spending the time meeting with the representatives. But I didn't throw a chair. I kept my cool. But put in the comments what you may have done, and maybe a lesson for me. What would you have done in the beginning from that initial email? I'd love to hear it from you. We'll catch you next time.